Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Catalyst for Change. Let me start today with an admission. A belief does not magically manufacture every event in our lives, but the loop, that is the loop between belief and result, that is the loop we often get stuck in, and it is largely the reason that we experience what we experience. Let me explain this. We notice something or an event takes place. The body reacts to that event. Example, an unpleasant event will make our body tighten, the breathing will get shallow, the chest may start feeling heavy, and so on. This instantly brings the mind into play. And the mind begins to do what it does best. It starts thinking. And so our thoughts begin to race. We may overthink things, second guess ourselves. And now our nervous system begins to respond. And how will our nervous system respond? With either fight or flight, or freeze or please. This will determine our actions and our behavior, and these, of course, as a consequence, create the results. Let's take a very simple example. Let's say you have a very strong belief that others don't pay attention to you, that you are not important to anyone. You send an important WhatsApp message to someone who is close to you. You can see that they have read it because of the blue ticks, but they do not reply. That becomes the event. The moment you notice those blue ticks, but there is no reply, your body begins to react even though you may not be consciously aware of this. The mind, noticing the tightness, noticing the behavior, even a minor shift in the body, the mind immediately comes into play. And as soon as the mind comes into play, you begin to think, for example, why have they not replied? Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Maybe they are ignoring me. Now your thoughts begin to race. You start overthinking every word that you have written. You start rereading that message you have sent. You start fearing that you are going to be rejected. With all these thoughts racing through, the nervous system responds to these thoughts. Now, if you go into fight mode, it is likely that you may send off a second angry message saying, do not bother to reply. I don't need your reply. If you go into flight mode, you may inwardly decide, I am not going to speak to this person again. I want nothing more to do with them. If you go into freeze mode, you may keep staring at your phone, unable to focus on anything else. And if you go into please mode, you may send another message saying, sorry, I hope I didn't say anything wrong. Are you upset with me? Your nervous system response has influenced your behavior. The other person may have simply been busy in a meeting, but when they finally do check their phone, they either see an angry message or a fearful message or an apologetic message, and this may actually irritate them and may actually create an argument between you two. And then you say to yourself, or to someone else if you are relating that event to them, what did I tell you? I'm not important. I'm not important enough. So they ignore my message. Thus, your belief, I am not important, creates the behavior. And your behavior strengthens your belief. And thus, the same reality seems to be created on repeat. The event was they had not replied immediately. But everything that came after that, from the way your body reacted, the meaning that your mind gave to the event, and of course the response of the nervous system, all of these influenced everything else that followed that one event. This brings us to something very important. We do not always react only to what has happened. Very often we react to what we believe has happened. I want you to sit with this for a minute. We react to the meaning that we have assigned to the event. That meaning that we have assigned to the event is assigned by our belief. You see, a belief is not just an idea in our mind. It is a conclusion that we draw about ourselves and about others. And we accept that that conclusion is completely true. Once we believe something so deeply, and we believe it consistently, the mind treats this belief now like an instruction. So if you believe, I cannot do this, the mind will stop trying. If you believe that people reject me, your mind will keep looking for that rejection. Because the belief is an inner instruction that you have given to your mind. Please let this land deep into your understanding. A belief is an inner instruction that you have given to your mind, and your mind very obediently follows all the instructions that you give it. Beliefs can be formed when we are very young, when we are emotionally vulnerable, or when we are exposed to difficult experiences. But once the belief is formed, it becomes an instruction that your mind shall follow every single time. And once that belief, once that instruction is given to the mind begins to generate thoughts to match that instruction. For example, if the underlying belief is, I am not important, the recurrent thoughts may be, they are not interested in what I have to say, they did not reply because I do not matter, there is no point asking because no one is going to help me anyway. The more frequently a thought is repeated, the more familiar it becomes. And the more times you hear something, even if it is your own thought, the more times you hear something, the quicker will you believe that it is true. Isn't that how people begin to believe in false rumor and gossip? You hear something so often that you believe it must be true. We don't stop to really question it, to find out, is it really true? Oh, if everyone is saying it, then it's true. And the same thing happens with you. The more times you hear the thought, you just believe it's true. You do not stop yourself from asking, is this thought valid? Is there a truth behind it? Does it really hold up when it is studied, examined? Every thought creates a pathway in the brain. And thus, it becomes easier to think the same thoughts again. Because the brain merely follows a set pathway. If you have ever walked through a wooded area or a forest, and if there is a pathway there that you see, will you not walk upon that pathway? I'm sure you would. You're not going to hew out another pathway for yourself when a pathway already exists. And your mind does exactly that. Every thought creates a pathway, and your mind simply follows that set pathway. Do you remember that I have told you before? I think I've even created a video on that. The brain is not here to tell you the truth. The brain is not here to tell you the truth. The brain is here to try and keep you safe. So it processes every single detail around you. It selects what it considers important. And what influences that consideration? What makes the mind think this is important and not this? Our beliefs. If I believe something and the mind has that instruction, then of course that instruction is more important. If the truth is contrary to that instruction, the truth is ignored because the instruction is more important. And the pathways that the thoughts have created are also taken into consideration. Here is a set pathway. Here is an instruction. Both these align. This is where the mind will go. Very, very often, you may overlook someone's message. You may not reply in time. You may even forget to reply. The brain is not going to tell you, hey, relax. Even you do this sometimes. It's okay. Oh, no, not at all. The brain will only repeat the same thoughts for you. I am not important, so they didn't answer. My message has been ignored by them. They don't care about me. The pathways are set. That's what the mind will tell you. The mind is not lying to you. It is filtering information so that you can receive it, so that you can receive what you have told the mind to give to you. With your belief system, you have given your mind a set of instructions. And your mind will only give you what that set of instructions is instructing the mind to give you. The mind is not here to give you the truth. Now that we have understood the mind's response, let us see how the belief and the resultant thoughts affect the nervous system. Because the nervous system plays a very, very important role because it influences our behavior. The nervous system responds not only to what is happening, but also to what the brain believes is happening. So the nervous system is responding to the event. You've sent a message and there is no reply. But it is simultaneously responding to what the brain believes is the event. And the brain believes that the event is, you've sent a message, they haven't replied because you are not important enough. So the brain has added on something. And the nervous system will take into consideration the event as it was, but also what the brain considers the event. Let's assume that something happens and you think, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Immediately there will be changes in your muscles, in your heart rate, in your breathing. Your emotions will be activated. You're embarrassed. And your face and your posture will change. Even without you being aware of this, because that thought has passed, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Your emotions are activated and your entire body, including your face and your posture, begins to change. There are minor shifts. And depending upon the situation, depending upon the degree of the embarrassment you feel, depending upon your personality, depending upon your nature, you will likely put on a show of bravado, or you may become very silent and not say a word. Or you may try to divert attention to someone else or something else. Or you may just leave the situation very quickly. These reactions are very automatic. You do not have control over them. Your nervous system reacts to what you expect, and your expectations are based upon what you believe. So if you expect conflict, the nervous system will be constantly tensing up for the attack. If you expect criticism, the nervous system will make you stay silent. Or even if you have to speak, you'll speak very nervously. If you expect rejection, your nervous system will either shut down emotionally or will make you overly assertive, aggressive, controlling. If you expect failure, your nervous system will resort to procrastination. Now, you may think that all of this is sabotage. But what it really is your nervous system trying to protect you. Because the mind has told the nervous system that there is something there that can harm you. And the mind has jumped to that conclusion because you have a certain belief. And that belief is your instruction to your mind. That when this happens, this means I am being attacked. I am not safe. So the reaction of the nervous system triggers behaviors, triggers actions in us, influences how we behave. When we feel very safe, our nervous system is balanced and well regulated. We think clearly, we listen properly, we express ourselves in a balanced tone, we make considered, wise decisions. But when we feel threatened, when our nervous system is completely dysregulated, we may attack, become aggressive, we may withdraw, we may avoid making any decision, and therefore we procrastinate. We may overreact. We may become domineering, controlling. So now you can see very clearly that your beliefs shape your behavior. But people cannot directly see their beliefs. What they experience is their behavior. And what people experience of you is your behavior. They can't get into your mind and see your belief. But they can see your behavior. They can see your attitude. They can see your action. And sadly, because they do not know what lies behind that action, they react to the action, to the behavior, almost always in exactly the way you believed they would react. So the belief creates the behavior brings a reaction to us, and that reaction strengthens the belief. And often you will say, see, I told you. I knew this. This is what I expected. This is what always happens. Let's be honest. How many times have you heard yourself say this or think this? I know I have said it often enough. But the question here is, can this be changed? Because if it can't be changed, all of this is a pointless conversation. But you know as well as I do that the answer is yes, of course it can be changed. Change of any kind, whatever the change may be, requires awareness. You have to first recognize the belief without judging yourself. Very, very important. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. Please remember that. If there is a situation that you are caught in repeatedly, you have to, whenever you feel safe, even if it is for a few brief minutes, step outside that situation and look deep within to identify that belief that is generating these actions and reactions repeatedly. But remember one thing, just as you and your behaviors are influenced by your nervous system, which is influenced by your mind, which is influenced by your belief, the same thing is happening to the other person. The same thing is happening to the other person as well. And just like they cannot see your beliefs, but they can only see your behavior, you too cannot see their beliefs, you can only see their behavior. But if you are more aware about yourself, something quite beautiful takes place. Self-awareness somehow magically makes you extremely sensitive to another person's energy, to what is not spoken, to what is not seen. So the first step has to be with you. Even if you want to understand someone else, you have to first start with yourself. What is the belief? And it is not enough to just go, aha. You have to go one tiny step further. You have to very clearly, in words, name that belief. I believe that I am not important. I believe that I am stupid. I believe that I am dispensable. Whatever your beliefs are. And it may be very uncomfortable to do this. To actually verbalize or actually write down, this is what I believe. And though that may be disturbing to you, I urge you to take that step. When an event occurs, and if you have already identified the belief, when an event occurs, teach yourself to pause and breathe. Now, why is this pause so important? What happens automatically? There is an event, Your body reacts to that event. You can't even stop that. Your mind recognizes what the body is going through. The mind considers what is important, looks at all the instructions it has been given, generates a set of thoughts. This change in the mind is picked up by the nervous system that goes into fight or flight, freeze or please. And one of these modes will determine how you behave. And your behavior will determine the reaction you are getting. All of this is very automatic. And honestly, up to now, you have not been aware of any of this happening. But if you learn to pause and breathe, you will create an interruption in the loop, the belief and the result loop. And this interruption is extremely important. Please remember one thing. Once your body begins to react, that anxiety, that heaviness, that tightness, once your body begins to react, you have lost control. Then the loop will do what the loop will do. And you shall find yourself repeating that pattern again. So when an event takes place and you know you have gone through this event in the past, you know that, you recognize that, you're intelligent enough to know that, you pause and breathe. And you do this very deliberately, very consciously. You pause and you breathe. In an earlier talk, I had explained to you about the long exhale, how important that long exhale is. The exhalation should be twice the length of the inhalation. And what that does is immediately calms down the body. It doesn't allow the body to get tight, to get heavy, to get anxious. And the body remains calm. Your breathing is calm. You breathe deeply into your belly. And you continue this breathing till you know that every part of your body is completely balanced, regulated. You have interrupted the loop. Because your body is calm, your body does not give signals to the brain, to the mind to say attack, attack, attack. Signals are not given. So the mind does not go into overdrive. There are no thoughts that are racing through. Because your mind is calm, your nervous system is not going to respond. And so what you end up with is making choices and options that have been well evaluated. And you look at the choices and the options that you have right now, in this minute. What can I do? What do I do to take? What is the next step that I take? Not the whole journey. What is the one next step that I take? And you'll choose that option. You'll make a choice. You'll decide upon a line of action from a place of calm. Because any action that you take when you are agitated, I have learned this the hard way, is always the wrong action. The problem is knowing when to pause. If you take too long, your body will get tense again, the thoughts will begin racing, and the action that you take will not be to your benefit. If you have, in the initial stages, as you are teaching yourself to pause and breathe, if you have missed that window, okay, if your body has already tensed up, if your thoughts are already racing, then get on to plan B. And plan B is believe not one of your thoughts. Don't believe them at all, not one. Don't believe anything that you are thinking at that time. Because you must be aware that your body, mind, nervous system connection has come into play and that you have lost control over the loop. Do not believe your thoughts and definitely take no action at that time. In fact, the only action that you could take is, again, self-awareness, acknowledgement. I acknowledge that I am caught in the body, mind, nervous system loop right now. When this acknowledgement comes, whether it is plan A, plan B, you will begin to retrain your mind, your body, and your nervous system. But you will do one more thing that is extremely important. Because you are not paying attention to the thoughts, because you are deliberately choosing to ignore your thoughts, because you know your thoughts are coming from an agitated system, the brain is now telling itself these pathways are not working. So it begins to look for new pathways. And when you acknowledge, I am at present caught in the body, mind, nervous system connection. I am agitated. I am anxious. I am fearful. I am angry. I am whatever. I choose to be calm. I choose to be balanced. I choose not to act right now. I choose to ignore these thoughts. You are not aware of this, but every time you are choosing something, you are telling the brain, cut out another pathway. We are now not using the old ones. Now these new pathways are formed. And if you do this again and again and again, with repetition, with consistency, the new pathways will become strong. And what does your mind do? It chooses the pathways that are strong. So in the future, when an event occurs, your mind will automatically choose the new pathways that you are now going to choose for yourself. Those pathways, those earlier pathways, those beliefs, those thoughts were the result of unconscious living, were the result of giving your power away, were the result of allowing people to pull your puppet strings. You are now reclaiming yourself. So the instruction given to your mind is a fresh instruction, is a stronger instruction, is a conscious instruction. remember, one new experience may inspire you, make you feel good, but repeated experiences like that, they are the only way you can retrain yourself. They are the only way a new reality can begin to form for you. Besides the body, mind, nervous system loop, there's one more aspect we must not mention. When your body is getting tighter, heavier, number, it's releasing some kind of energy. The thoughts that are racing are releasing some kind of energy. The nervous system, whether it's in flight, fight, whatever mode, is releasing some kind of energy. This energy that is being released, where does it go? A part of it is emitted outwards. Hear my words. A part of it is emitted outwards. And that energy that is emitted outwards will naturally not be a very pleasant emission because it comes from an agitated space. And that person is going to react not only to your behavior, not only to your action, but also to your energy. But a large part of that energy, unfortunately, is not emitted out. A large part of your energy remains within your body and becomes part of your energy system, blocking your meridians that we spoke of last time, and eventually causing physical, mental, emotional breakdown. Use this week to at least become aware of the beliefs. That first step is so important. So at least get onto that first step for this week. Big hug.